This is such a common mistake that I can't not talk about it. I'm gonna give you a specific example first, and then I'm gonna generalize it so that you can apply it to every map in the game. Assuming you're the purple team here, what is wrong with this picture? Basically, purple is moved up further than their line of map control. Every map can be thought about in checkpoints, and you have very little ability to skip checkpoints without getting in trouble for it. You can figure out these checkpoints mostly by looking at high ground defense positions. So if we look at the overhead, assuming that the water was down like it was in that clip, our first section is obviously our spawn, which is ours by default, and then we have our plat as our next piece of high ground where you can defend against enemies trying to push in through this choke point here. And then the next step is this left side of mid, which you can tell is the next step instead of the right side because these islands are both high ground when the water is down, and then it's also the only side that you have an escape route back to your plat. Right side is a one-way drop, so if you try to go that way and something goes wrong, you're totally cornered. And then the rest of the map is just the same order, just in reverse on the other side. So if we are in section 4 or section 5, we theoretically should have control of all of these sections behind us. But if we go back to that clip, we can see that all of mid is enemy ink, and ink is a visual representation of map control since it's much more dangerous and difficult to take fights in enemy ink. So even though both teams are even in numbers and it looks like purple's about to get the zone cap, you'll see that it actually doesn't end up going super well for them. So now orange has control of the zone, all of mid has all of their teammates alive, and purple is back to being 3 down. So even if you're in front of a checkpoint, if there is a way for enemies to access the checkpoints behind you and it's not your color, you don't actually have control of those areas, and that's a really good way to get yourself shot in the back like you saw in that clip. It's so easy to fix this. All it takes is having one guy paint up this side, especially under this ledge, or having a couple people throw bombs over here. You don't need it to be perfect. It's not like it's turf war. You just need this to not be an easy access point for the enemies to get behind you. You want to have one player watching this angle anyway so that the enemies can't just drop and flank you for free. So if you're the one watching this, consider being the one to paint up this side, or if you're a weapon that paints really well, you could also consider being the one to paint up this side. But we can push this concept even a step further. Let's look at Hagglefish, because despite there being these side angles over here, this map is still a straight line, and it's really easy to watch these drops when you're trying to lock out the enemy team. So it's not like you won't notice somebody going down there as long as you're paying attention. But despite all of that, that doesn't mean that we don't have to worry about having map control behind us. Let's say that we got a team wipe on the enemies, and so we go all the way up into this area, which is called their court. If we could, we would really like to be able to get all the way up here, you know, put a crab tank up here, and we spawn camp them. But for now, let's just say that we are stuck in the court down here. If these are our checkpoints and the enemies are on their plat still, in order for them to retake all the way up to our court, they normally would have to win a fight to get to their court, and then win a fight to claim mid, and then one more fight probably to get to this checkpoint, give or take, you know. Numbers advantage makes things a little wishy-washy sometimes, but for the sake of simplicity, really quick, I want to interrupt to say that I'm starting a Discord server, so if you want to hang out with me and other Splatoon nerds and chat about whatever, you know, come join us. Now let's imagine that at some point we were on our plat trying to retake to our court, and we won a team fight, and we actually got a team wipe on those guys. So we run all the way into their court. But in the process of us trying to take that space so quickly, we didn't have any time to paint up behind us, and we never turn around to do it. So now we've rushed all the way to their court, we're trying to hold this area, maybe we're trying to take a little bit more if we can, but that requires pretty significant numbers advantage to get through this choke, so we would really need to win another team fight to get that space. So to try to take this space, we take another team fight, but we mess up somehow and we go 2 down. And because we didn't paint up any of this space behind us, our final 2 remaining players who were trying to fight here don't have anywhere to retreat to. They probably get wiped here too. And even if our last 2 did manage to survive or escape, or maybe even take one out with them, because we didn't paint up any of this space earlier, the enemies now don't actually have to win another fight or 2 to get this space for themselves. They already did the hard work earlier, and we never took it from them. So they get to go all the way from their plat to our court with just the 1 team wipe. So this isn't to say that no one can ever jump ahead a checkpoint. There are plenty of weapons and playstyles that are happy to take these off angles or put themselves in danger for the sake of their team, as long as it's actually contributing in some way. You know I'm a mobility guy. If you saw my last video, you know I'm a big fan of that kind of thing. You just can't let everybody do it, and leave it to the guy who is the most likely to survive that situation, so maybe a Brella or somebody who has a wall or a mobility weapon. And then if you do have those situations where there's a lot of space for you to take, but you also need to paint up as you go, what you can do is send your most aggressive weapons the furthest forwards, while your better painters, your slower weapons, maybe your backlines, can fill in the space behind you with paint. And then there's this kind of balance with the amount of effort that you put in painting up the space behind you and the amount of passive control that you have back there. So to generalize this to every map, you find your high ground positions, which show you where the checkpoints are. You treat winning a team fight like winning one of those checkpoints, and you fill in the checkpoints behind you with paint as you go up. Like I said earlier, I have a Discord server now, so come hang out with me, and then subscribe and watch my other stuff. And that's it, bye.